The quango that gave the go-ahead to a disastrous ferry contract has denied it has any responsibility for the fiasco. Bosses at Caledonian Maritime Assets Ltd, CMAL, insisted they did nothing wrong and blamed new management at Ferguson Marine Shipyard. They accused billionaire Jim McColl, whose Clyde Blowers empire owned the yard, of giving disingenuous evidence to an ongoing Holyrood inquiry. And they insisted the yard's bosses had been designing as they went along, leading to many mistakes that have to be rectified. Ferguson Marine in Port Glasgow was handed a £97 million contract to build 2 new CalMac ferries in 2015. But delays and disputes have seen the total cost spiral to at least £230 million, while the vessels will be around 4 years late. The calamitous contract eventually saw Ferguson fall into administration before it was nationalised last year. Holyrood's Rural Economy and Connectivity Committee is now probing how the contract went so badly wrong. CMAL is a Scottish government-owned firm that procures ferries for use by operator CalMac. James Anderson, director of vessels at CMAL, said the quango made Transport Scotland aware of its concerns as early as March 2016. He told the inquiry he had no regrets over handing Ferguson the contract ahead of 5 other bidders, adding, "Something went wrong after we signed the contract." He said, "This was a failure of management, of new management." Mr. Anderson also rejected any suggestion it was CMAL's responsibility, adding, "We're just going about our normal business, which we're highly skilled in, and we've delivered." Earlier, he told MSPs the ships were standard engineering, but said workers had been asked to start building the vessels before designs were finalized. In written evidence, CMAL said the vessel superstructures were initially supposed to have been fabricated off-site and shipped to the yard by barge, but that methodology was not ultimately followed. Mr. Anderson said, "The yard go ahead, they send out the drawings," as was reported in an early evidence session by the workforce. The workforce were even telling the shipyard, the bosses, "This isn't right." And what were they told? "Crack on." That was it. He later told MSPs, "I found it really just incredible that we're even having this conversation, how these people behaved." Mr. Anderson earlier took aim at managers in the yard, as opposed to the owners. He said, "These people have already been mentioned." The word bullying came up at one of the other sessions. He said Ferguson Marine had insisted everything was fine up until mid-2017. It then made a claim for an extra £17 million out of nowhere. Mr. Anderson said, "I'll never, ever forget that meeting, for a long, long time, when me and my project's director went in with someone. For more on this story, visit the news article link.